Reading is a very important skill in the early years, and reading readiness is even more important than that. They say that the two best predictors of early reading success are the alphabet recognition and phonemic awareness before phonics, and before all of this, reading readiness. So, we'll quickly go through the different aspects of reading readiness. The first one is visual discrimination. That means the ability to recognize, same objects and different objects. Visual memory, the ability to recall what one has seen. Perceptual motor skills, it means the development of the eye and the hand coordination, the development of the small muscle, and the ability to develop the palmar grip and the pincer grip. So, the palmar grip would be the palm and the pincer grip would be the grip of the pencil. Orientation, training the eyes to go from left to right, top to bottom. Auditory discrimination and perception, it means discriminating between sounds of different things. For example, a bell or a whistle or a clap or a snap, and later being able to discriminate between the sounds of words. Auditory memory is to recollect and associate sounds with things and then sounds with symbols. Concept development. It would mean a lot of experiences which will help the children understand and relate to language. Readiness for books, learning to align. Readiness for books, to simply be able to open the book and to be able to move from left to right. Verbal language, to be able to listen and speak and use the words and sentences in the correct context, so that when they read, they are able to comprehend. Attitude, it's so important for children to be excited to read books, and for that they need the right attitude. And then comes the recognition of the letters of the alphabet. After that, a whole lot of phonemic awareness and sight reading. So, we will start with the visual discrimination activities. So, shall we start? So, we are going to start with visual discrimination. The easiest way to start it is with color discrimination, color identification. So, you can start with two colored blocks. Fit-in blocks are really useful because they also help the children to develop their small muscles. So, once they can learn how to identify between two colors and actually build their little blocks and trains, you can move to more colors. Children can thread beads, or they can simply sort out different colors, and as they learn how to discriminate between 3 or 4 colors, you can keep adding more to them. Once they have worked with concrete objects, you could do something as interesting as giving them different colors of vegetables and telling them to sort them out into little baskets. You can then come to little cards. You can take cards, normal card sheets, cut them up and ask the children to sort them out into little color groups. So, it could be shapes, it could be colors, and then you could use something like the color wheel, like a color wheel like this, and clothes clips. So, what we also try and do is use different parts of the course, like this is a part of the world of colors and it's being used for an activity which is going to help the children to learn visual discrimination. That's how subjects are integrated. So, you can simply use clothes clips. In case you don't have different colors of clips, what you can do is you can clip on little pieces of colors onto clips and then give it to the children to clip onto the wheel. So, this could be one activity. Another really interesting activity could be creating a little lotto band for your children. So, you can print two parts of it, or you can simply draw it. You can ask the children to use a crayon box and color into each of these circles, and then the patches below can be cut and these little pieces of paper the child can actually use to match and identify colors. Once the child has done this activity a couple of times, you can perhaps use these for pasting and creating a completely different activity, using specific colors for art and helping them to just identify colors, group them and enjoy the color with the children. So now some activities for identification of concrete objects and shapes. So you can give them different kinds of objects, 2 of each, and ask them to match concrete objects that are the same. You could also use different colors of objects, so they can match to clips, to crayons, to sticks, and you can this now, as the children have already learned color discrimination, you can also start using 2 assets. So it could be color and 1 more asset. So you can be doing concrete object matching. You can create a set of cards. On each card you can have the same pictures, and on some cards different pictures, and you can ask the children to sort it out. So you can cut them up into little cards and ask children to sort out the cards which have the same pictures and the cards that have different pictures. Another interesting activity that you can do is use old card sheets at home and just make little designs on it and ask the children to sort them out and match the ones with the same design. The older children can also copy the designs. So you can flash it at them and they can copy the design. Another very interesting thing that you can do with children for matching of shapes is use gift wrapping paper. You know, you have so many kinds of gift wrapping paper at home. Just cut them up, each thing can be in pairs, and ask the children to spread it out. And the game could be who's going to find the pairs first and how many pairs can the child or the children find. So you could play a little game, a matching game with, and you can have some of them which don't have a pair, so they'll be left behind. So a simple matching of designs, because it is intricate, so it actually takes a lot of time for children to observe, and the activity can be to see how quickly they can match these over a period of time. So you can keep adding more designs to it, more sheets of paper, and in case they say, oh, we don't have one for this, say, okay, we'll try and look for it next time. So this is another activity that can be done. Once the children are comfortable with all of this, what you can start doing is using the letters. Take the letter shapes and ask the children to match the same letter shape. So you can just spread out the flashcards that we've given you. You can make another set and then ask the children to match cards with the same shape, the same letter shape matching. It could also be the same pictures. So there are multiple activities that you can do with this. Once the children become good at matching the letter shapes, you can actually give them words and say, why don't you try and match the first letter? So the older children can actually match the first letter. Once they become good at this, you can tell them, okay, I'm going to give you cards. So can you try and match the cards with the same word? So gradually the children are starting to orient themselves to the first, the middle and the last letter shape, and gradually the sounds. So these are the activities, these are some of the activities that you can do. Of course, there are lots more, but you can just begin with this. And now we come to visual memory. Now we use so many of these things. Can we reuse them to check whether the children have a good memory or not? So what you can do is play a small game where you have the bead, a clip, a stick and a crayon, and very quickly hide it. Tell the children to repeat what they saw, and you can give them the same objects and tell them that can you try and arrange them in the way I arrange them. So if the child puts the the block and the stick, and then he picks up and checks and says, oh my god, this was not correct, so look once more, and you can actually repeat the activity with the same material that we used for the other activities. So this, you try and reuse it again and again. It also helps. Another thing that you can do is perhaps hide it and take away one object and ask the child, so what do you think is missing from here? So missing plus an orientation, small activities that you can so easily do with the children. Okay, so another interesting activity, you remember you used patterns. So flash a pattern at the child and hide it and ask the child to draw the pattern on a slate or a piece of paper. You can flash colors and say, okay, which colors did I flash, and ask the children to do the colors with you. Another very interesting activity is you tell them a story. So you open the book and you tell them the story of perhaps little bear, and then talk about the mama bear and the baby bear, and you can create a very, very interesting peek and say. So just take a card sheet, cut a little circular hole in it, and then once the children finish the story, tell them to close their eyes and then place it on one part of the picture and ask them, so can you recollect and tell me, is this mama bear or is this baby bear? So children will try and recollect what they saw while you were narrating the story, and they'll be able to guess. And of course you can easily lift it and show it to them and to check out whether they have guessed right or not. These are a few activities which you can begin with. Which activity should you do for which age group? I sometimes feel that these activities can be repeated, and as the children get better at it, they can be made a little more complex. You can start with simpler designs for smaller children, more complex designs. You can start with 3 objects for the little ones, and maybe you can take it up to 6 to 8 objects for the slightly more grown-up children. So variate it according to the needs of your children. Start from easy to difficult. Make it challenging, but don't make it impossible for the children.